I think I need you to.
Well, meeting to order, start with the pledge, pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before we ever jump into the formal agenda, last week we said goodbye to a friend. Albert Tompkins was a leader in the district, a friend to so many in the district. And just an all around good guy. I wanted to take a minute of silence to just say goodbye. Thank you, everybody. Start with the consent agenda. Anything anybody need pulled
Yes,
or questions?
I have a question about 11, but I don't, that would be like an executive.
Okay.
It's probably not. We can probably just explain it.
Okay,
There are courses that teachers take to move on the salary schedule.
there you go.
I have a question about number 6 and,
Question, so we
I'm
put the motion, then second, then question, but is it a question like about a specific person or,
no,
okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Does anyone have any questions?
I have a question about number 6 and number 8. Just for number 6, how many chaperones, do we have for the 26 delegates?
3, I think.
Okay, is that from staff admin or like parents, or is it you admin who would go?
It's staff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then for number 8, I know in the last meeting it was presented, sometimes there's lower enrollment areas in other areas because there's more interest than like in drama and arts. So why is this stipend, or this resignation being held? Like what was done for a drama club in high school? At least the past 2 years, amazing plays that really brought the community, outside community district together, raised funds with the ticket sales. Why is that not happening this year? And like what was done to engage enrollment for the drama
Yeah,
club?
so we actually had, quite a few staff members step up. Chelsea is not a staff member, but she is, a community member who has done the drama club for a number of years on and off. So they came back and they were working to select the particular musical that they wanted to do. And there was not many students who were interested, and they were having meetings and they were trying to get interest, and the kids actually said, we're not into it, we don't want to do it.
Did we proceed further? Like why? I'm so surprised because of the past 2 years of such great participation and such engagement.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, their reasons are they're not into it, they have, and no, right, there's no specific reason why for any one particular child that was given, but.
And even with the lower interest and participation, even for the few, if any, who are interested, could they have done something smaller? I mean, is there even, 1 or 2 students that where they could do something, learn a new skill in drama club or participate in some way where it doesn't have to be a grand play?
I don't know that was explored. I mean, we can certainly explore something like that. I just don't know that we would then need to have all the staff if there's as many staff as there is students. It could be something much smaller scale.
And I'm sorry, how many staff aside from Miss Edson?
So this one is, there was actually, right, there was an address issue or something, and then we ended up appointing her and then she had to resign, but the other staff, there's like a producer, there's, somebody who's the advisor, there was somebody who does the music, so it was like Michelle Trout, Melissa Betts, Chelsea Edson, there was, Mike Freer was working on sets, Dan Gunninger, so there's like a whole big team of people who were ready to do this for the kiddos.
Does Alden still have their
Other than-
program?
Yeah, actually, their musical is Thursday.
Okay.
Aladdin Junior.
Shout out, so I think they have one for them since some more stuff.
Yes.
But we probably need to all speak up a little bit so we get these on tape.
So, Cheryl was just saying that Michelle did say that they had offered to do something smaller scale, if they're not interested.
Thank you.
Are you done? I have a follow-up question now that, because I did not realize it was due to low student. I just thought there wasn't an advisor for the high school since Mr. Garcia resigned. But I do know for the middle school, since he resigned, and then the other co-advisor for the drama club for the middle school, she said she was not able to do that. Could now the people that were going to work on the high school, work on the middle school, because there's a big interest with students.
So we can revisit that. I mean, I don't know, right? I don't know
Yeah.
if they've been committed to other things because
Right.
they're not doing this, so I can't really say. But we can revisit that.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? All right. Where am I? BOCES spotlight is there for you. I just realized I made a mistake. Budget development presentation.
It's me. So I can put it up on the screen. All right. And share this. All right. So this is our second budget presentation for the year. We're gonna look at the tax levy limit calculation and our department budget to just kind of give a general overview of the construction and composition of our budget for 24-25. So here we go. This is just, I always include the timeline update just to show where we are in the process. We'll be presenting again on the 19th and then again on the 2nd, and that should be our final buttoned up budget. We're still adjusting some calculations, so this will be like the first draft that you'll see of the overall expense budget and our tax levy calculations. And then in our next presentation, we'll drill that down a little bit further. I'll show the revenue and the expense sides, how they compare to each other. And then we'll have the final presentation just before the board adopts the budget in April. Just some highlights on the process this year. Codes and descriptions. Again, a lot of our budget structure has been in place for over 20 years. I mean, this is stuff that's been inherited over the last 2 decades, and we're really just trying to adjust the language to match the intent of the expenditure. So with that, you know, we had a big movement last year of moving money around between codes to where we think it should live based on how we're using that money today. Less in terms of volume this year, but still some things that are moving around. So when we show the line by line, you know, categorical code breakdown, you may see some things that are large jumps, plus and minus, but it's all going to even out at the end. It really just shows us moving money, not really reducing or increasing anything excessively. And again, we build this process just for transparency. We meet with every principal, we meet with every department head. The central administration meets regularly to discuss adjustments and modifications going forward.
But just to be clear, these are not just random, like, hey, I'd like to put this money over here and put it over there. These are our accountants go through this.
Yeah.
Go through the state laws, and tell us where to put the stuff.
Well, you're right, and a lot of this is based on recent and previous audits too, like there's codes that just evolve over time. There's a lot of things. Basic example that's really understandable to people, like telephones. used to be analog phones in the facilities department, and now they're digital phones in the technology department. So that's something that over time just evolved and gets moved accordingly, right? It went from this side to that side of the table. So there's a lot of guidance about that. It's also driven by needs. So there's some categories that are just dynamic in the sense that we had 7 kids that needed something, and next year we're gonna have 8 or 6, or, you know, however the projections work out. So we're trying to keep this budget very conservative. If you remember from our last conversation, we do not expect a substantial increase in our state aid. We're anticipating either a level state aid or even a possible reduction. Again, 70% of our budget approximately is contractually bound. We can't move it, I can't reduce it. So we're really stuck working with what we can modify and change. And so here's the general breakdown. Our current year 23-24 budget is $33,999,373. Our first draft projection for the 24-25 budget is $35,072,525, or a 3.16 year-to-year increase, just over $1 million. I'll break down that number a little bit further as we move forward. But these are the cost drivers for our budget this year. Inflation is the first and foremost, right? The cost of everything is going up. The cost of doing business, the cost of commodities, utilities, et cetera. Our collective bargaining agreements have guaranteed increases built into them. So whether the budget passes or not, all of those unit members are going to get an increase next year. That's not up for discussion. It's not up for debate. We don't have an option. Okay. Evolving staffing needs. We may need different bodies in different places than we did last year or this year. And again, that's tied directly to what our kids need. Some numbers go up, numbers go down, and we adjust staffing accordingly. Employment benefit costs are going up. They've never gone down. We don't expect them to ever go down. The best we can hope for is for them to remain level, and that rarely, if ever, happens. And then again, utilities, commodities. And the last bullet is just important to reference. You know, we're going to be asking the community to support a $77 million referendum right behind this general fund budget and the propositions that follow. And so we have to be cognizant of the fact that until we can make major renovations, we have to continue to put money aside for repair, upkeep, and replacement of, you know, building equipment systems and related, you know, components throughout the district. So that's another cost driver in our budget. So these are the breakdown of our major components as currently constructed. For that $35 million, we're looking for a very modest increase in our admin portion, going from 10.2 to 10.5%. It's just the difference of just under a quarter point. Our program numbers are shifting by just about a third of a point, and our capital portion is actually coming down half a point. So our year-to-year budget is again $1 million increase with a 3.6 allocation. We're very conscious about this tripartite breakdown of our budget in the sense that we want to keep as much of our money where the children are to the extent possible. So we want that program number. It's no coincidence. It's the largest portion of the budget. We want to keep it the largest portion of our budget. And we generally want to keep the admin portion of our budget as close to 10% as possible. If you noticed last year, if you remember, that 10.28 number was the lowest we've been in 5 years. Prior to that, we've been well over 11%, sometimes 12. So we're trying to keep that as close to where it is as possible and really focus the lion's share of our funding towards student-facing needs and initiatives. So here's just a couple of our department highlights. Again, a lot of our budget is going to be consistent with allocations from last year with moderate increases. So first and foremost, when it comes to instructional technology, we're very proud to be a one-to-one district. It got us through the pandemic. We hope to never have to do that again, but we have a device available to every student from pre-K to 12. And so we have to be very cognizant of the needs for the replacement cycles that go with that. We're going to continue implementing smart boards or replacing smart boards like the one behind me with interactive flat panel displays like the one across the room. So there's a $25,000 allocation for that project. There have been some questions about why we don't do the entire district in one shot. And the short answer to that is if you buy technology in large volumes, you will replace technology in large volumes. And so we're phasing in the replacement process so that we can have a manageable replacement cycle in the years to come. We're going to be upgrading all of our Project Lead the Way desktop computers this year. They've gone end of life. We actually were able to replace internal components last year to get another year out of them. Again, just trying to be responsible with our budgeting, really getting every bit of the usefulness out of this equipment that we could, but the time has come to upgrade and replace. So we're gonna be doing that. We're gonna be providing just a small handful of IMAX for our art department, specifically in this building and in the high school. Again, not even a full classroom amount, but just enough for what they use them for in their art projects. We're continuing to do software audits. Again, a lot of software has been added over the last 3 to 4 years. So as we move forward, we want to kind of pare down and remove or eliminate redundancies, duplicates, and in doing so, identify what the most ideal software packages are for their intended purposes and be able to dial back the things that are just not as good and costing us more money unnecessarily. And then as always, network infrastructure related equipment, the technology infrastructure in our district, just like almost every other one, continues to grow, right? As tech advances, we bring more toys into the building, and we have to be responsible with how we manage and replace them as they go end of life. For the facilities department, our budget remains largely unchanged. We continue to move some money around, kind of like I said before, especially within facilities, to put the money where it belongs. I'm really proud of John, and I'm glad he's here tonight for this part of the conversation, because under John's leadership, we've been able to continue to take money where it used to pay for outside contractors and even BOCES shared mechanic services, and we're able to shift that money into our payroll schedule, into our overtime codes. Our staff is making more money than they have previously by doing more for our district internally. And that's a big shout out to John for driving that whole process. I mean, this is all happening under John's leadership, and we're very excited about that. Additionally, I'll jump down to the bottom. Our utility budgets will remain relatively stable despite the increased cost of utility. John has been able to manage with staff our utilities consumptions in a way that's allowing us to not have to increase that budget line. So this is another example of solid leadership within the department and the dedication of our staff that they're willing to come in off hours and extra hours so that they can make a little bit more money, but that we can better manage our facilities so that we're not wasting money, blowing it out of our stacks and out the windows, and we can really focus that money where it needs to be for our kids. So thank you, John, for doing that. I know that's you personally coming in at 4 a.m. sometimes, and some of your team members coming back at or after midnight to make sure that we're not wasting any of our fuel or any of our utilities. So thanks to John, we're able to put more money in front of kids and less money into that utilities budget. We're also going to continue our facilities vehicle replacement and equipment replacement program. We implemented this last year. We have a new truck on its way to replace our aging fleet. Again, the fleets are no different than the buildings. Things cost more when they get old and broken, and if we don't take care of them, those costs jump tremendously. So we're replacing our most expensive vehicle to maintain. And then we're going to be looking towards adding equipment for next year, specifically a multi-purpose grounds utility vehicle that'll help us maintain the fields, sidewalks, and other things, just to streamline our staff's efforts so that they're not wasting time and labor, and we have the right tools for the job. On the curriculum side, a lot of attention going into our staffing needs district-wide. We're looking at classroom sizes, the size of the cohorts as they move through the district, where we need more labor, whether that's based on program evolution or specific needs of specific children or groups of children. So that's something that we're spending a lot of time at the central office level looking into. We're also establishing codes for new initiatives. So we've brought a lot of new programming this year, centered around, especially around social emotional learning and student needs. So as these things came up, we kind of just found money for them and paid for them out of where the money was. It's not a habit we want to get into. So as the programs themselves evolve, we're working with the business office to create codes, identify codes. Very simple one. Graduation, high school graduation used to be paid for out of about 4 or 5 different budget codes. And we've just this year consolidated them all into one graduation budget code where we can very easily track all of the expenses for our most important event of the year, right? Every kid that comes to this district, we hope that they cross the stage for graduation. It's our Super Bowl, for lack of a better term. So it just seems very straightforward. Put all the money in one bucket, then we know exactly what we need and what we spend for graduation. So that's a very simplified example of a process that we're stretching throughout the entire budget building experience. For pupil services, largely unchanged, other than, again, student-driven needs. So as kids are put into programs or taken out of programs, or the programs themselves shift, we're moving the money accordingly, but we're not making any big changes to that department, at least at this time. Transportation budget, again, for those that may remember, we awarded a new 5-year contract last year. This is now year 2. We're going into year 2. This current 23-24 year is the first year of that new contract. We're going into 24-25 as year 2 of 5. We had a pretty significant increase in our costs, roughly just under 26% for year 1. Fortunately, years 2 through 5 are fixed at 3.5% or close. For most of that contract, I will say that there were some aspects of this contract that the costs escalated faster than others. Without getting into too much detail, I just wanted to let the board know that the First Student Executive Team is working with us to renegotiate portions of that contract to the district's benefit. So we were able to have a really productive conversation with their regional leaders and their financiers to understand why they assign certain costs to certain lines of the contract, and understanding the needs on both sides, they're very willing to make adjustments and reductions of line items within to help us manage our budget for the rest of this year and going forward into next year. So just appreciate the partnership we have with First Student, and I'd be remiss to not share their flexibility with the board. I think it's important for you all to know that as well.
And we'll be having more specific details.
Yeah, I don't want to speak to it yet because there's certain things that are not finalized, but I will definitely share with the board. Some of it is in terms of our home to school contracts and our ability to shuttle students between our school and shared our schools that we share teams with for athletics, field trips, things like that. So they're really working with us on those things that are not necessarily a fixed cost, right? We don't always know what those budgets are going to look like when it comes to the dynamic things like field trips and sports and things like that. So those are really the areas that they're helping us out. And again, more to come once that's finalized. So here's just a summary slide to show you where we are with the budget year to year. And this is where we start talking about the tax levy. So the tax levy, people erroneously call it the 2% tax cap. The 2% number is a number as part of a 7-part or multi-part formula for tax cap calculation. The tax cap is supposed to keep us on pace with inflation. So just for the board's benefit and the folks at home that are watching, inflation went up 8% last year and 4.12% for 2023. And in both years, that portion of our formula was capped at 2%. So we're very much not keeping up with inflation, but that's the measure that they use. They use the inflation factor to try to keep us on pace. Obviously, we're not able to do that under the current laws, but we're able to maximize that piece to 2%. Because of that, largely because of that, we're recommending that the district levies the full allowable amount, which is calculated at $27,074,236. It's an increase of $844,231, or just 3.22%. So that's one of the more conservative numbers regionally. A lot of districts are looking between 3% and 6% in our Dutchess County area. I haven't spoken to many folks outside of our immediate region, but that seems to be where districts are falling, anywhere between 3% and 6% levy to levy. So we're at the lower end of that spectrum. We're at 3.22%. And again, these figures will all be finalized once our numbers are all shaken out for the 24-25 school year. There's a lot of variables still in play. The state aid numbers have to be finalized. Again, our tax base for our district represents over 70% of our revenue. So we're very much tax funded, whereas some districts are the opposite. Some districts only get 20 or 30% of the revenue or less from their tax base. Ours is very much funded by that. And that's another reason why our tax levy to levy increase is very, very close to our budget to budget increase, because so much of it comes from the tax levy. Any questions?
And within this, Elliot, you built in, the increasing charges from like BOCES for us to send our kids to BOCES, for us to send them to Dutchess to wherever else they go.
Yes, I'll tell you that as of today, Ashley and I met with representatives from Dutchess BOCES to look at certain, of our big ticket coasters. And we had a face-to-face meeting with them. Out of today's meetings, our net increase for BOCES went up over $200,000. We were able to mitigate that almost by 100,000, in terms of other reductions to offset. But, you know, when the budget's going up $1 million, at least a quarter of that is BOCES driven, and that was just the portion we looked at today. So there's some things we can't control. We're building in as much as we can for every CTI seat that we can cover, for, you know, all of our place students at Salt Point and Beta and all of those things. Their costs go up too, right? So we have to raise ours accordingly. But we're trying to offset it by trimming anything that we can, that we're looking at trend data over this current year and the last 2 or 3 years, really from 21 on, to get a feel for like, all right, we allocated 10,000 to that category and we haven't spent more than 7 in the last 3 years. We're gonna trim that back to 8,500 just to be safe. Like that kind of, those are the kind of conversations we're having.
Questions? All right, very good, Ally.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next, is new business. Do a motion to accept the donation from the MEF of, $1,282.
Oh,
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions, comments?
thank you.
Thank you.
What is the
Yeah.
Trills and Thrills music?
So it's an annual, field trip that they take to Lake Compound, and it's, you know, band specific and chorus specific performances that they do there. However, typically speaking, the chorus also goes with, which helps to offset the cost per student. And unfortunately this year, due to the change in staff, the chorus is not prepared to go, so it was a little bit extra on the families. And so Mr. Dunninger wrote a grant to the MEF to help to write this for the families that are participating.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any against? Okay. So we still, I'm still waiting for, letters, I guess you would go, from the candidates for BOCES. I still think there's another person that's running that I haven't heard from. But the meeting with Dutchess County Board of BOCES is Thursday night. So hopefully we get some more information there, but we still have some time. I think it's, what is it, April?
We are gonna nominate at the next meeting
Right.
and then you'll vote in April.
But yeah, other than that, that's all I really had. Chris, did you have anything?
Just a reminder, tomorrow we have a capital project presentation at the Unionville Fire Department at 5:30 p.m. And we'll also be posting webinars soon on our website for those who missed it.
Good. Okay, Caroline?
Good evening, everyone. So, Dr. Watkins and I attended the superintendent's state conference through NISCUS, just this past couple of days in Albany. There were some really great keynote speakers and some great sessions, and the vendor hall was filled with all sorts of innovative stuff that, you know, the educational vendors were talking to us about. So it was a great experience. We're glad to have gone. There's some things that will be implementing the team and some books that we were given from the keynote that we'll be discussing with our team as well about revisiting the professional learning community model. So we're really excited about that. Our consultants have been here busy in the district, continuously working with teachers in different buildings, sort of on a rotating basis. And Dr. Watkins will talk more about that. Just a reminder to the community, Friday is the early release day for professional learning for teachers, and Monday is the superintendent's conference day. So it's a half day for students on Friday, and there's no school for students on Monday. In terms of instruction, Alden and the middle and high school theme fairs were this past 2 weeks. And they were a huge success with some really exciting projects that the students created. So congratulations to all of the participants. And thank you to the staff that ran those theme fairs. We do have an update in the operations department, the light post in the parking lot. Yeah. Mr. Mullins and I had a discussion prior to this meeting, so there was damage to one of the light posts that actually, damaged wires and the way that it feeds electricity to them. And so, they're not currently functioning and they could not be repaired today because of the rain. That would be very dangerous to be working in outdoor electricity in the rain. So our guys are gonna fix them tomorrow, for a temporary solution while we have a vendor that will be planning a more permanent solution for them. So that is why there is no lights in the parking lot this time, just the building lights that are shining out. Elliot has just reported on the state of our budget planning process. And as Chris Rosenberg had said, we will be having an information session tomorrow at the Unionville Fire Department at 5:30 on the capital construction plan. We had the most amazing fall small ball. So I know Mrs. O'Connell will talk more about that. It was absolutely the cutest thing ever. So cute. So I hope that that becomes, somewhat of a tradition and we see that again. As of this past Thursday, the MEF met, there was a request from Albert Tompkins' family to create a memorial fund and accept donations. That was what Albert had asked. He wanted in his memory for the donations we made to the MEF and care of his Millbrook family. So that was really lovely of him and his family. And the MEF has graciously agreed to be able to run that for us. So there will be more planning meetings as to how that money will be used to benefit the students in the community. But we'd like to thank the Tompkins family for that and MEF as well for their partnership in that. Alden enjoyed their talent extravaganza with over 20 students that participated in the acts on stage. So that is very exciting for the Alden school. Those kiddos have a ton of fun planning and practicing. Tentatively, as we had mentioned before, there will be a wellness fair on May 9th. I do have information there about the girls and boys basketball teams. So they will be playing in post-season play games tomorrow and Thursday. So tomorrow is the boys at 3:30 at Yorktown High School. If they win there, they'll go on to the regional championship on Saturday at Mount St. Mary's College. And the girls will play on Thursday at Beacon High School. And a win for them would propel them into the state tournament up at Hudson Valley Community College. So that would be the weekend, well, for both state tournaments for boys and girls would be the weekend of the 14, 15, 16, those months. And then it's Music in Our Schools month. So you will see we have an extremely busy calendar for March, and so busy that for the Board of Education, I actually created just a little workbook in Google Sheets so that you can go by building and see all of the very busy dates. This time of year, as you know, from here to the end, right, it just seems like there's always something going on in the schools. So we'll be giving you more of the calendar style updates for the last 3 months. But March is looking really busy, so I just included it in that format there. And pre-K registration is already open. So if you know anybody that has a pre-K aged student or entering pre-K age, they have to be 4 by December 1st. You can point them to our district website where it says, I want to register my child. And then kindergarten registration will be opening on March 18th. So just a reminder to anybody you know that has a child not currently attending our pre-K program, if they're looking to come in for kindergarten next year, that'll be opening on the 18th. And if you have any questions, I can take them now.
Okay, how was the light post damaged? Or the light post?
It was hit by a vehicle. It cracked the post that on the bottom of the concrete is. And pushed the wires, rubbed against the metal. It was short on all 3 poles. So I had it fixed temporarily. An electrician, the right way to fix it is to take the pole off the mount, extend the wires and redo them. Did a big job, and some must have hit it again. They went back out. So I'm just gonna go in there, I watch what the electrician did, and I'll fix it tomorrow myself.
Okay, what leads me to, if it was damaged by somebody else, is there insurance from that person that is going to pay for the taxpayers, cost here?
By the time we picked it up, the vehicles, we did get the plate on it, and the camera,
Mhm.
trying to get it. So we didn't know whose vehicle it was by the time we went back into the cameras to look. It was a pickup truck that backed into it. I mean, they get the license right off.
Okay, then we have a blind spot possibly in camera area. Or at least one, because if property gets damaged, that taxpayer property, and the person does not, stop and own up to it, then it's up to us as the district to try to catch the offender and to reimburse the entire taxpayer base for any damage done.
I mean, we went back and we looked into the cameras,
Oh, I believe
it
you.
was a pickup truck and,
It's very
In fact, right
challenging
into-
to zoom in on a license plate while the vehicles moving, and the distance is kind of.
Okay, then. If it's been hit, that post was hit more than once, did you say?
yeah.
Then maybe we need a camera that is closer to that post. If it's already got a history of being
You'll have
hit
the other
twice.
camera out there on the post
Yeah,
now. I was never there before. That was pretty new,
Mm-hmm.
right? A couple of months back. So we do have. a
We've
better
added
view.
coverage in that area. I don't want to get too specific on where they are. or not.
no, should we?
We have,
But-
we have added coverage in these affected areas.
Okay, then that's perfect. So if the post has a tendency of all of a sudden being hit twice, then I'm sure the third time will not be the charm for whoever may hit it. Hopefully. Thank you.
When did the first time happen?
It had happened in the summer, I believe. We go back because we were noticing the lights out. And by the time we picked up that the lights were out,
I mean, maybe if
Yeah, we went
if
back.
that's in such a bad location, maybe we ought to consider just putting those posts around it, around the base, so you can,
yeah.
Yeah, Polly.
you guys.
So they are vulnerable. You
Mhm.
get that concrete circle there, the parking spots are right there. You have 4 spots right around each post.
Mhm.
So that might be a good idea. Concrete barriers around it.
Anything else? Caroline?
I did have 2 things. So I just want to make sure I received an email from the advisors for the National Junior Honor Society, but I saw like it was blind copy, so
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everybody did.
Yeah, I checked.
get
with
that.
them, and I had asked them if they wanted me to share it, basically I shared it.
Okay. And then, just an idea with that Music in Our Schools concert on March 20th. There's gonna be parents there from 5th grade through 12th, so might that be a good opportunity to have a display table with capital project information? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anything else? Okay, next is Amy.
Yes, okay, so I had mentioned this at the presentation that we did for the capital project, but just for everyone at home to make sure. I've been working with our communication specialist, Laura Christine, from PNW BOCES, and on the website, we have added the piece where at the top right where it says capital project, so you can see anything related to the capital project there. You'll see the slide deck that we have been sharing at our presentations. And we will be adding FAQ sections, so frequently asked questions too, as parents are emailing questions, which are great, so keep them coming. We will be populating that area, so you may have similar questions, so you can check that out. In addition, I'm always going to plug the MCSD bulletin in addition to the minute that goes out each week, all of upcoming events, anything. There's several parent trainings that are happening virtually that can be registered on. So that is all accessible from the MCSD weekly bulletin website. So those are chronologically relevant. So you can always check out that if you miss one of our minutes. IBM week, the principals have been busy scheduling with IBM for Engineering Week. And I saw several emails going back and forth today where each building has narrowed down what date. In addition, the 7th and 8th grade and some of our science teachers at the high school are scheduling a first-time trip with Mr. Moriarty to check out IBM for them to see the Innovation Studio. So we were very excited to have our 7th and 8th graders be able to experience that. So more details on that. We're trying to finalize a date. And this would be a fourth time perhaps to hear that tomorrow we're going to be at Unionville Fire Department. It hasn't hurt us. So now everyone should show up to see our road show. Staffing updates, we did at the last meeting welcome our 2 special education teachers. We're still looking for an AIS, academic intervention specialist, long-term leave replacement. So if you know of anyone who might be interested, we are still looking. And as Mr. Hernandez has already said, that we do have an early release day this Friday where our teachers are continuing with their training from GLSEN. And on Monday, we have really individualized the training for our P2 teachers. We have Lizzie Hetzer coming in, who is our literacy specialist, who has been working with our teachers, and she's going to be doing some small group work and really an ebb and flow. As teachers like work with her, they're going to work on something. Another group's going to come in, they're going to work with her, and then they're going to have a share out. And at the 3-5 building, Megan Hargrave's coming in to do, she's going to be there virtually doing asynchronous training with the teachers, which is great. So she has been working with the teachers already. And so this is giving them time to do some data dive and checking in with her. And so we're kind of excited about what will be happening there, giving them that time. And we're continuing with Equinity 6 through 12. And we're still finalizing the plans for our TAs, but I believe what we had scheduled to do, I'm waiting for finalization of CPR training for our teaching assistants, and we have mental health training happening for our school counselors and our school psychologists. So very busy day planned ahead, and if you're in the area, we also will have Cousins Lobster, Maine Lobster here for a food truck. So you can join us.
I need some training that day. I'm
Yes,
telling you.
I try to step in for some training around lunchtime. That would be perfect. Any questions?
Questions? Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. John, you're up.
You're up.
Oh, sorry, John. I always just blow right
We
by.
want on the principal go first, or you want me to go?
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I just want to thank all the maintenance custodial staff for all the efforts with snow removal. We were ready to open all the days that it snowed. We just can't control what happens outside. The buses and everything, but the guys showed up early. We were ready to go, so I was in contact with Mr. Studio and Mr. Garcia at 4 o'clock in the morning, giving them an update. And the guys, they did an amazing job, so I just want to thank them. We secured a new state contract for the fuel oil, so this way we're comparing the prices, we constantly monitor them week by week when we need, so we get the best bang for the buck, as I would say, I guess. And we're still well in the budget for the fuel, so which is really good. We continue the water source survey in all the buildings in preparation for the upcoming lead testing. We have to test for the year 2024 to 2025. So we're all prepared. We got to count of all our water fountains and our outside spigots and all our sinks. We're going to test every single faucet in the sink. And where there's water, testing. In the high school, we hold a sport championship banners in gym, working with Mr. Hamill. We installed additional AED cabinet in the main lobby. The AED that was over in that area was inside the general office. So if we had afternoon basketball games, the general office is locked. So God forbid something happened over there, you would have to run all the way down to the gym to get the AED and bring it back. So it was a good idea. We got Officer Freya and the principal, we got a new one, first one, we put it in the lobby, so we have access to it.
And yeah, and we actually have more coming because we identified that in multiple buildings that with the fire doors, if they're closed, you can get there to get the AED, but you can't get back without a key. So we actually ordered a couple more for other buildings too.
We arranged for roof leaks. In the high school, we had one over the cafeteria, we got that repaired, that's all fixed, we put the ceiling back together. We serviced 2 air handlers. For the gym, we replaced the filters, all the motors and the bearings, the 2 inch units that feed the gym, so that's all taken care of. We replaced 16 broken bleachers modules. They're starting to get brittle over time and they don't make the same ones anymore. So we had to do a little researching, found ones that will fit. But you can't just replace one, you have to replace the whole row because they don't interlock with each other. So they're like sectional pieces and they lock into each other. So I purchased like, each row has 16 or 8. So we started purchasing new ones that match the same color. But over time, we're gonna have to keep replacing them or just redo the whole thing. Replacement seems to be working better, they're stronger, so they can stop the new ones, they're more secure, so. I was really good to get them a lot of pieces to find. Yeah, they don't make the old ones anymore. We replaced 4 electronic ballasts and 40 light bulbs in the gym. Had to rent a lift to get up there. The center lights in the center has the roof is pitched. Genie that we have, you can't reach it. So we rented a lift and we got up there and fixed the ballast. And then this guy's really good going up there. He went 30 feet up in the air, so guys is doing a great job. We repaired a backflow preventer in the boiler room. It's another job that used to be outsourced, and we're doing it in-house. We repaired and welded the gate in the rear of the building, must have got damaged going when the snowstorm tractor or something. That took it apart, brought it down in the shop, we welded it and put it all back together. It's another job in-house we're doing. In the middle school, we arranged for roof repairs since our warranty wore out, so I was able to secure a contractor. And so far, so good. On this main floor, and we have some leaks, but we got them repaired. We installed new flooring in another admin office. And as part of the safety initiative, we upgraded lock and clawback mechanisms on the cross corridor doors and other doors to ensure emergency entry. Just for example, these doors between the 3rd and 2nd floor, they had the old clawback locks that were ancient, the original locks. So now we changed out the claws and they're all the master key to an officer can come down the stairs in an emergency and open that door and get in. What else we got? Balding, we managed to pay the local fuel line in the boiler room. Just another example of the guys doing these jobs that we used to contract out. We arranged roof repairs due to leaks, that's covered under warranty. As part of the safety initiative, we upgraded a locks and floor mechanisms on a couple of doors over there, same as here in the middle school. So we're phasing out all these old locks as we identify them. And now, we have installed a new electrical outlet for the new book vendor, which is really great. So we did in-house, we ran electric to it and it was beautiful. Facility staff assisted the high school students with painting a large tree mural on the wall of the Holy Anna General Office. Which is a really sad thing. That was one of Albert Tompkins' things that he was involved in and he wanted to get done the day before. One of our workers said Albert wanted to get all the different color paints and we just had to get it done for Albert, so that was done. He actually put a little bird on the tree with AT Albert Tompkins on it.
You tell my stuff.
Oh, my God. You didn't do it mine, I go first.
See why I wanted you to go first?
But it's just a tremendous loss. Yeah, it's tremendous loss. He was involved in so many projects and in his memory, we're gonna get all his projects completed. So at the next, well, you see a bunch of more projects that Albert was working on that we're gonna get it done. And it's a tremendous loss.
Take a sec, John.
We serviced all exhaust fans on up on the roof. And we hung a new smart board in 25 and moved up to about it from the 2 birds should be on the left-hand side. It's actually looking out to the.
No.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
You didn't tell me.
So you're gonna build a wall between you.
It's gonna live together every time.
Like you're reading my paragraph over here.
And they did. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Yep.
Okay, now,
Okay,
Most of them.
good evening. So I will elaborate on that. It's been an emotionally taxing week in Elm. I know that Albert was a huge part of Millbrook in general, but, I know that Ellen was like. So. So the mural. I had talked with Albert about this elm tree. I wanted a tree and I really was inspired by the sixth grade, mural out here where all the kids had their names signed on it. So I pictured all of the kids having their own leaf because we're all a family in Elm Drive. I say that all the time. So, you know, in working with the high school art club in the spring, I really printed out one picture and they made it come to life. Albert on Wednesday was making sure that or on Tuesday was making sure he had all of the supplies ready for Freddie to bring me on Wednesday. And I just shared with the art club if there was something that we could do to kind of incorporate something symbolic in there for him. And we were talking about his name, like on one of the flowers or on one of the butterflies. And then Spring actually said, you know, oh, how about a bird? So we did the bird on the tree and his initials are in it, but it was actually pointed out by Ms. Dorsman that the bird on the tree actually looks out to the, bird bath, yes. See, I'm showing you. The bird bath was in memory of his father. So it's kind of like one of those things in life that gives you goosebumps when you think about it coming together like that. But what I love about it is that as soon as you walk in Elm, it's so bright and beautiful and just, I feel like Elm is such like a joyous, energetic place. And this really speaks to that. So I took very good pictures of the previous artwork and I'm going to have them put in poster sizes so that we have one to display in the library and one to give to Miss Rizzo, whose brother painted. Someone in Miss Rizzo's family painted it. So I didn't want that to just be, you know, pushed aside. Really thankful to the Millbrook Rotary, the same as the PTO helped create the lending library here in the middle school. We worked with them to have one added to Elm Drive, and it's wonderful. It's right up front next to the bench and the big tree, and it's the same concept. Leave a book, take a book. You don't have to leave a book. You're always welcome to take a book. So we had a really wonderful ribbon cutting last Friday after it was installed. Thank you to facilities for making this happen. It was actually, yeah, another one of his projects. He worked really closely with Mr. Richter from the Millbrook Rotary. And it just so happened to be installed on the day that we celebrate Dr. Seuss because his birthday was last Saturday. So it was wonderful. The first grade kids were out there in all their Dr. Seuss hats and gear, and it was wonderful. Thing one and thing two. I don't know if you want to bring up that picture, but in my principal report, there's a little image there. I'm always looking for new, different tools to bring into the classroom to support student learning. And we have new flexible seating, which has become really popular with the kids. They're called surf desks. Every classroom received 2. These were really highly recommended by our occupational therapist, Ms. Tokars. They really support balance, core strength. They're really fun. You kind of like sit crisscross around them, and it's like our own little personal learning space for the kids. So always trying to think of like new ways to get them excited to do their writing and their work. The winter tall and small ball. Oh my goodness, it was incredible. I thank all of the parent volunteers that really assisted with this, the PTO. I mean, we really had some kids in ball gowns and it was so magical, from start to finish. We had an amazing DJ and seeing like all of these kids dressed up in suits and ties and, you know, with their adult, it was really a night to remember. I want to give a shout out to Kathy Mattis at the high school because as many of the decorations as we have, which I'll share, we repurposed Mr. Russell's 23-year-old snowflakes for the snowflake run, and we used them to help decorate, so it was kind of nice having that in there. But when we showed up, Miss Levinsky and I showed up to the high school to start decorating, we explained the theme. It's a winter snowflake theme, and you know, Kathy's like, oh, I have this, come here, I have this, I have blue lights, I have white lights, oh, we do this, and she just kind of made it so beyond magical. So really big shout out to her and just all of the help. And I look forward to making this an annual thing. As far as professional development, thank you to Dr. Watkins for the coaches that we have in Elm Drive. They are really wonderful. Our staff is very grateful for the coaching model that they've been given this year. It's really tailored towards each grade level. They do, and the coaches really ask them, what are you looking for? And they're all working on different things, but I'm really happy to see it tailored so specifically to those grade levels. So thank you to those coaches. And that's that. Any questions?
I have one. The book, and this might apply to all the schools, where is it like, families donate books or is it library books? Like say I had, you know, my child's older books from when they were younger, can I drop them off to like Elm and see if you'd like them for the little book thing?
You could, that would be wonderful. We are checking the books, making sure that we're checking them daily, just to make sure that everything is age appropriate. So, we ask that everyone keep that in mind when they're bringing books, but absolutely, I would definitely take books.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. And I will share just a little update when he was talking about the book vending machine. It has been so phenomenal for the kids. So everyone who is chosen as a Blue Ribbon Blazer for the character trait that we're focusing on, they get a token, but every Friday a class chooses a student. So every Friday between 13 and 15 kids come to get a book. They also get one for their birthdays. So it's being used every day in some way for the most part. And the excitement that they have to get them is really, I'm so grateful. It's been really wonderful.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Alicia. All right. We have any comments? Future agenda items, we know where that is. Any questions or comments? No. Okay, so we're about to go into executive session. For anyone on the phone, doesn't mean that the meeting is over. In fact, if we make some decisions or take action or decide on actions, we will probably come back into public session to take those actions. So for that, do I have a motion to go to executive session?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Okay. Everybody okay? Need